Everyone wants to go viral, but here's the truth. The content that moves the needle for your business often is not the content that actually gets clicks. In fact, some of the biggest names in SEO, including Forbes, have seen their strategies crumble overnight. Today, we're going to be pulling back the curtain on what really works, what doesn't, and how you can protect your traffic no matter what Google goes and does next. I'm sitting down today with Lars, who maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't. I'm going to let him introduce himself and just tell everybody, Lars, tell everybody what you do, what kind of brands you work with, what your expertise is.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to be here, Joy. So I've had a bit of an eclectic career. I've bounced around quite a bit. These days, well, formerly, I just got done building a kind of an SEO affiliate business. So we have very competitive categories in Google. If we ranked well, we made a bunch of money. If we didn't rank well, we made no money. So I just went through that journey. That was an intense experience. And then the last couple of years, last 2 years or so, I've been working with a lot of enterprise SEO clients. So Automatic was a client of mine. Currently working with one of the big AI companies. I don't want to name which one, but most people would probably recognize the name. I ran Neil Patel's blog for a long time. I know can be a controversial feature or player in the space, but I've actually worked with Neil. He gave me my first job out of college, which is kind of nuts. So we go way back. And yeah, I play in content, SEO, and just organic growth, all that stuff, which is, pretty big category. So.
I did not know that you worked for Neil Patel, so that's news to me.
And, I got more stories there.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's successful.
I got to respect what he's built.
And his content ranks everywhere, so good job.
It doesn't rank like it used to. Yeah, you should go check out his blog on Ahrefs or something like that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Is he having that slow decline that we're just seeing all over the place?
A lot of big sites that were built in kind of the 2010 to 2020 era, most of them are in decline these days. Not all, but most. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even on our own site, which I want to say our content is, I think, top notch. I'm super biased here, but definitely we don't put out anything spammy. It's all like case studies, things that we've come up with. And it's been hard to even maintain traffic in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So
top tier SEOs, if you can keep traffic flat, you're like, oh man, you know what you're doing. Clients don't like to hear that though. They want it to go up and to the right, which is fair, but yeah.
Yeah, it is a struggle. That's for the people here watching and listening, if you have questions, we want to talk about what is happening to all this traffic? What in the world are brands supposed to be doing when less and less traffic is going to websites these days? And I want to talk about initially a story that you're very familiar with, which is the story of Forbes. And I think it's really relevant regardless of what industry you're in. Because last year, when we went to Google, we saw Forbes everywhere for local searches, which is the space I'm in. So, for example, you'd search personal injury lawyer Tampa, you would get Forbes ranking in the top 5, and they came out of nowhere. They were not there before they started ranking, and everyone was like, "What, Forbes?" And most of these law firms were paying $10,000 plus a month to their SEO company to optimize that term. And here comes Forbes out of nowhere. However, fast forward a few months later last year, and everything kind of went crashing down for them. And I know you're very well versed on exactly what happened. So can you share that story with everyone?
Yeah. So I saw the same thing. Like I said, I was building this affiliate SEO company, mostly in the B2B space. And right around 2020, we started seeing Forbes everywhere, especially on some of our big money terms that were driving all the revenue for the whole business. And this was not some we're not some weird corner. We were going after big competitive B2B categories. We went from 0 to 7 mil in annual revenue, I think in 2 to 3 years. Right. So we were going, we were in a lot of categories, and we started going head to head with Forbes on everything. They were everywhere. And at first you're like, okay, I'm a little annoyed, but hey, it's a business brand. We're in B2B. We're building business sites too. Of course we're going head to head. Right. And, but they started just expanding, and they would rank instantly for everything. And I got really annoyed at it after a while. But I just sort of accepted it as facts. I was like, oh, this is annoying. There's always something weird in Google. Even in good eras of Google, there's always something a little off somewhere. It's never perfect, and that's fine. So I just sort of chalked it up as one of those things. And then fast forward, I don't know, the algorithm, Google changed the core of Google changed just fundamentally in like end of 2022 or 2023. It's a different algo now. I don't do any of the old stuff that I used to do. All new playbooks, completely changed. And my affiliate business got whacked, just completely crushed. Which is fine. That happens. We were hyper optimized for the old era, not optimized for the current era. Those things happen. And, I wound down the business. I was starting some personal project. I was actually going to try to build a website in the HR space for a multitude of reasons. One, there's good money there. Two, it's also something I'm interested in. It's also really boring, which is generally a great sweet spot of like categories I like to play in, something that everyone's just like bored to tears of, but like actually matters. So I was building this site, and then I got whacked by the helpful content update, which we can talk about. There's a lot of content out there about what that is, but I got completely crushed. I literally woke up, and I checked my traffic during like an August Google update on a Sunday before getting groceries. And the whole site just went down 90%, just like literally overnight. I was crushed. And I still see Forbes everywhere. They're just popping up. They're in HR. They're everywhere. And I was like, you know what? I'm like pissed. I'm really mad at Google. Like I'm like Forbes didn't even come and like fuck me directly. Like I'm just like Google's the one that keeps fucking me, but I'm really mad because I'm trying to do everything Google's telling you to do, right? Like build helpful content, people first, the eat stuff, all this nonsense. And I'm doing it. And then Google just literally, I spent all summer writing post after post after post. The traffic charts looked great. Everything, like if it felt like a genuine, like reciprocal relationship with Google. I'm giving them what they want. I'm making their users happy. Google's making me happy. Everyone's winning here. And then just one day Google's like, nah, fuck Lars. Fuck this site in particular. And it wasn't just me. Like a huge chunk of like the smaller indie publishers, like everybody got crushed from the helpful content update. It was just an absolute massacre in 2023. So anyway, I got pissed and I was like, okay, Forbes is just ranking for everything. And most of their content is trash because I've looked at it and they're in. And like, who are these people? I want to understand like where they came from because they know the affiliate game. Like I'm in the affiliate space. They're getting into the affiliate space. I can tell that they aren't just fumbling their way into it. They know what's going on. So I dug in and I found this crazy story and like how the org chart was set up and found these SEC documents and these fucking screenshots from like a jilted founder that was like making all these claims on LinkedIn. There was this huge like HR fight happening with I didn't even post like a lot of the nastier stuff that was going on because I'm like, that's none of my business. But I found all this stuff. I'm like, this is absolutely insane story and it's out of control. And well, like they shouldn't be ranking for everything that they're ranking for. For me, it was like just a case study or a perfect example of how wonky the Google algorithm has gone and off the rails it has gone. If you say that, everybody just gets really bored, right? You can't, but like if you give a really crazy story, then people are like, oh yeah, Google is fucked up. Maybe we should do something about it. So I've detailed the whole story and that went viral. And there was a follow-up story. Turns out the Forbes company was also involved in CNN and USA Today. They were running like fake subsections of those websites, also doing affiliate product review terms. So I published that and then things kind of went a little nuts. And then a few months later, I believe the Google manual or search spam team did a ton of manual actions on parasite SEO companies like across the board. It wasn't just Forbes doing it. There was a bunch, like almost every news publisher was getting in on this game. Word had gotten out. And because the new current era of Google for multitude of reasons. Yeah, that's the chart. That's what Forbes is doing.
That's Forbes.
It's Forbes. But like every news publisher in the current era of Google, for whatever reason, and I have hypotheses as to why, but for whatever reason, news publishers can rank for like whatever they want. So like all these shady companies were getting involved with different newspapers, posting all sorts of stuff. And Google went after a huge chunk of the industry, did manual actions on a bunch of them. For people that don't know, a manual action is when the Google search spam team goes in and says, regardless of what our algorithm wants to do, we are taking your website and we are just removing it from search, right? That is really intense. And if you're making a lot of money, especially with affiliate business models, you get traffic, the right traffic, you make a lot of money. That traffic disappears, all the money disappears. So if the search team comes in and says, no, this site is out, all of your revenue, all of your money instantly evaporates, which is kind of insane. So Forbes wasn't the only one that was hit by this. There was a bunch of other sites that got hit, and it was a big, big thing last Q4 holiday season. Since then, they got the manual penalty removed. Last I heard, they'd revamped a lot of their content and are really focusing on quality, which I think is great. So yeah, as long as people are focused on quality, if they're beating me or winning, go for it. I'm not even going to be like mad about it. Yeah, that was kind of insane. So since then, I've been doing other stuff. So.
We have not seen them come back in the local space. Like, they were ranking for almost every local query that I would type in on Google, and that never came back. So
yeah,
the Forbes advisor section that got hit, where it was like, here's the best, lawyers in this area. We don't see those posts anymore. So maybe they've come back in the affiliate space, but not in the local space.
Yeah, they've come back on a few terms. I think like one of the terms I railed on them for was like the best CBD gummies or something, which is a huge term. You can make so much money off of that. And they're ranking again. And last I checked, the content was actually like pretty good. So like I won't even get upset over that post anymore. So some of their stuff is back. But yeah, last I heard, they're really focusing on content quality now, which I think they're going to be way better for that in the long term.
Now, you said that you threw a lot of stuff from your old SEO playbook out
Yeah.
and you don't do it anymore. Can we talk about some of those tactics? What are some of the things that used to work really well, like pre all of this, and now you don't do them at all anymore?
Yeah. So I think what I tell people now is, and I'll get into some of the specific tactics, but at the high level, the way I used to look at SEO is like SEO could take you all the way from the garage to the IPO, right? Like your literally first day of starting a business, you can start with SEO and you will get customers from it. And no matter what category you're going into, there was always like a way to get going somewhere. There was always a crack to find, something that had been neglected by everybody else, all the big players. And there's always some niche, some term, some topic somewhere that if you really just serve the searchers better than anybody else with quality content and get going, then you would get some traction. It would be really slow to start. There's always some downsides to SEO, being it takes forever. But you could get going and it would literally be your workhorse channel, no matter how big you wanted to get. You could do it like whatever the ceiling is on your market, SEO will help you take you there from day one all the way to the end. These days, that's not the case. But the tactics or the overall playbook that I would do, I've done so much advising for different startups and different CEOs and founders. And I'd usually just check on two things. One, are they actually committed to SEO for the long term? And if that's the case, like, do they actually enjoy writing? Do they enjoy SEO? If that's all true, then like, okay, figure out a budget that's at least one post per week. If you want to go hard, you're probably talking like a post every business day, something between those two ends. And then post really consistently. Make sure that every post has a really tight SEO topical target. Information topics are great. Go after all of them in your space and just build slowly, methodically. Always focus on search intent. So what's the question people have behind the topic? What is the problem that they have? Help them solve that problem better than anybody else. Do it fast, do it direct, and just keep building, and it will work. That's the old playbook. Okay. Please don't go do that today. That's not going to work nearly as well. But yeah. And then SEO, building blogs and SEO budgets were like, okay, they all turned into some format of X posts per month. What's the budget? And then we need to make sure we're willing to do this for like at least 3 to 5 years. And if we can do even a halfway decent job at keyword research, if we're halfway decent at being content writers and just caring about content, which a lot of teams don't, never have, like, you are going to get somewhere. And then the last thing is just like, you just don't be careful about how competitive of a category you're going into, right? So if something's too competitive, find a sliver that hasn't been like completely played out yet. And that was the old playbook, and that worked for like all of my career, like 15 years, 18 years or something. So
Okay, so that was your old playbook. What's your new playbook? Like, what is the winning strategy now?
Yeah.
Really,
So
that's what everybody wants to know.
my strategy now is for if you're building a company, let's say you're day one or just early ish, and people ask me, hey, should we invest in SEO? My answer is usually like, no. Like go do any other channel. What not there's probably there's nuance to this. I'm kind of going to the extremes to make a point. But like the way to think about SEO, the way I think about SEO is now the reward at the end. It is not the path for like the whole, it's not the journey that gets you to the end. If you do everything right on all the other platforms, you build a brand, you build a business, you build all these audiences that give you some like content distribution power, some oomph. You can then take that power, everything you've built, focus it on SEO, and you'll just clobber everybody.
Yep.
So I don't see someone saying SEO is dead. It's not quite dead. It's just when you enter it, and is a little bit different than it used to be. I used to always start with SEO, and now I won't even touch SEO unless we've built like a bunch of other stuff. So like, I'm spending a bunch of time on LinkedIn. Do I want to do that? No, I'm fucking fucking LinkedIn is cringy as shit most of the time. Do I love being on LinkedIn? No. I guess people like my stuff, but like, I don't enjoy LinkedIn. I don't enjoy Twitter or any of this other stuff. Everybody's doing video now, and that's really smart. I should probably do my own YouTube channel. But yeah, I really should. But go do all that stuff. And then when that's humming and you feel great and you have a really solid business, like come back and do us. Like, I'll give you an example. Automatic was one of my clients. But so I've worked on some really, really, really big sites, and even big sites can struggle with SEO these days. Like it's not just a publish X amount of posts and we're going to do well. There's sometimes it works, a lot of times it doesn't. And then also like breaking through on like new areas of Google, breaking new ground where Google doesn't necessarily trust you, even with like massive brands and massive sites, can be really hard. And you need all that audience muscle to like help you break that new ground. So the more you've invested elsewhere, the easier SEO gets. And trying to go straight in on SEO, not to say it's impossible, but the margin of error is like razor thin. If you make one mistake or you trigger that helpful content update part of the algorithm, like you're just fucked. You're hosed. Game over. And that's not fun. So I always say invest elsewhere, then come back.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, to be honest. Like, we don't work with a lot of small businesses that are just starting out, because it's like you said, it's almost impossible finding an edge somewhere to get in. Even when it comes to local pack rankings, like if you're coming in as a business with no reviews and you're competing with people that have thousands,
good luck.
Yeah,
it's not going to be fun.
No, it's such a factor. Brand search is such a factor. Traffic is a factor. Like all these things you don't have. It's like an uphill battle. But when we get brands all the time that have really established themselves and like they have a really good amount of brand search and stuff, and then we go in and do the SEO piece, it works really well.
Yeah.
And the more authoritative the brand, the easier it is to get results. So I do feel like we have a lot of people that are in the camp of like new or small businesses watching. So let's say you are a dentist and you're breaking into a market, you're opening your first office. What platforms would you focus on?
So most of my career is on B2B, but so the typical advice I give, like the advice I've always given, and I think that still holds true, but the asterisk here is like, don't like take SEO and like put it off the table. But when people are asking me what channels to go into, I usually ask them, okay, what types of content, what mediums are you more interested in that like just resonate with you personally? If someone loves doing interviews and audio and wants to dabble in video, like cool, maybe do a podcast. If someone just loves video and they grew up on that, great. If someone loves long form versus short form, you love short form, go to TikTok. like, you'll just, clean up. But I hate short form. I'm terrible at Twitter. If I'm being honest, I'm not that good. I need some space. If I have some space to work, I can go. So LinkedIn, I got a little bit more space. Email, I got plenty of space. Blogging used to have a lot of space. I mean, still have space, but SEO is what it is. So it's more about like, what is that fit? Don't do the channel just because it's hot and it's new, right? Like if I was following all the trends, I'd be on TikTok right now, but I'm just like, oh God, I don't want to do this. This is awful. And nothing against TikTok, or maybe we can talk shit about TikTok, but if it's more about the fit for the founder and who's doing it, because if you just do it for 3 months and then you're like hating your life, it's never going to go anywhere. Especially if you're doing the like organic versions of all these channels and you're trying to build like an actual audience, like all the payoff is in years 3 to 5 and beyond.
Yep.
Even when I was coming up in my career and I worked on a bunch of like massive blogs, big sites, big brands, all those blogs, even back then, were 10 years in the making. Like stuff gets really exciting by year 10. But year 1, you're just like fucking screaming into the void. And you're like, is this going anywhere? You don't even know. So that's going to happen no matter what channel you are. So, and like the only way to get through it is if you're like, you know what? I don't care if no one sees this. I had fun. I'm liking what I'm doing, and I'm going to do it again next week. And then hopefully if you have, at least above average quality, sooner or later you'll break through, but it takes a while. So find the fit. If you're going the organic, like content route, I will say that, the big difference today versus, maybe 10, 15 years ago is there are way more, there's way fewer channels to pick from today. Right? Like you really don't have a lot. You got TikTok, you got Instagram, you got LinkedIn. I don't know. Does anybody still use Facebook? Maybe not. I don't know.
Shockingly, yes.
Okay, yeah. Apparently, yeah. So you got this like maybe tier, like second string social channels like Threads and all this and Blue Sky that maybe you get into. You got YouTube, right? Yeah. Like it's a short list, unfortunately. So you don't really have to spend that much time thinking about it. You only have like 5 legitimate options. Pick the one you're most excited by. And again, if you're on the smaller sides, I would say SEO is probably not in the mix. So
you missed one. It's one of our questions. What about Reddit? So we have a question here.
Oh, Mom, Reddit. Fucking hell, Reddit. Okay.
So we have a question from Michael. So Reddit, I mean, I should have brought up Reddit's graph in Ahrefs. It's like the opposite of Forbes. It is exploding. And like to the point that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, Reddit is likely in the search results somewhere high. It is one of the easiest platforms to rank on. I can tell you, like we've created posts on Reddit that like rank on page 1, position 1 for whatever the hell keyword.
Reddit's the cheat code for SEO, 100%.
Yeah. So let's talk Reddit and like, what do you do anything with Reddit marketing right now? Like what do you recommend people do?
Yeah. So I don't do Reddit marketing for clients, although I get asked about it all the time. Reddit is a weird beast. I have done a number of exposés, just like I did a big investigative piece on Forbes. I've done a number of them on Reddit. In fact, I had another big one go viral like a month ago about the coding bootcamp space. Just search for like Lars Reddit coding bootcamp, it'll come up. But what's happening? So I've been a long time Reddit user. I'm very comfortable in Reddit. It feels natural to me. I still use old Reddit. That's how fucking.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Old Reddit is so much better. It's not gamified, or there's way fewer ads. Like the growth team is not in old Reddit optimizing it to death, which I think is great. So, so the thing about Reddit is like Reddit is absolutely a cheat code, 100% for like all of online marketing right now. If you like want to check your morals like at the door, and you know what, I just want growth. I don't care about everything else. I just want growth now, like the best organic growth I can get within a 3-month time frame with the lowest spend and best ROI per dollar. I'd be like, Reddit. go juke Reddit all day, every day. No, I don't do this. If we're being candid, I'm not going to recommend you do this, but if you already put those constraints in and you don't care about like genuine anything, like Reddit's the place to be, because Reddit is a threefer, which is just wild. It's the first time a single platform has had this much control over so much of the internet. Because if you get into Reddit and you find like subreddits that either play nice with you, or you get a bit of a pass on, or you're just like really disciplined and sly about it. If you get into the right subreddits within your industry, you will not only will you start influencing that community itself as everybody interacts and sees your content, you will also start automatically ranking at number one for all sorts of random shit, because Google just implicitly trusts everything from Reddit. It's insane. All like Google spent 20 years dialing in their search results and trying to make sure who's manipulating Google and who isn't. For whatever reason, they just decided they didn't have to do that with Reddit, and so they don't. There is absolutely zero quality control on the Reddit posts that show up in Google. And not only is there zero quality control, but they go straight to the top. They're number one, number two, number three on like everything in Google. So, whereas if I'm trying to get an actual organic ranking from Google myself on my own site, the amount of work I have to do is like kind of insane, especially in a competitive category. My affiliate business, our overhead was $300K a month, and it was 100% SEO focused. Like that's what like competitive categories actually take. You do not have to spend that amount of money and time on Reddit in order to get number one rankings for like anything, right? So the ROI is through the roof. And not only does, if you find an area of Reddit that you can post in consistently without getting like booted by some salty moderator, you not only do you get Reddit, you get the Google search results, because you just get bumped automatically to the top of whatever topics. And then on top of that, which data set is considered the holy grail in like every LLM ever? Reddit, right? Reddit is cutting deals with Google and everyone else. Every AI tool wants to use the Reddit data set because it's authentic, it's real. And so a lot of it is like, there are certainly, I'm a big Reddit user. There's certainly communities I've found that I get a lot of value out of and seem really real to me. But then there's also a absolute shit ton of manipulation. Right. So the LLMs, they're not sorting through that. Google's not sorting through the manipulation. But if you get good at Reddit and push it to the limit, again, you get three channels all at once. You get the Reddit audience, you get the Google search results, and then you get all the AI training data too. And you can really manipulate the hell out of everything. The post that I did about a month ago in the coding bootcamp space, it was a crazy story of a competitor, a founder of a competitor doing a lot of that stuff. And all this stuff was showing up at the top of Google. It was starting to influence LLM responses, and it's very easy to manipulate both Google and LLMs via Reddit. So it's just an insane time at the moment.
Yeah, I will say that like the people that are spamming Reddit and kind of taking it to the extreme, the only downside I see is that it's usually short-lived. Like usually if you get a post that does rank that well on Google, someone's going to find it and report it, and then Reddit takes it down. So I think the more you spam, the more likely your entire thing comes crumbling down. That's what I've seen anyway.
If it's a subreddit with moderators that give a shit.
And what if it's not? You could report, like Reddit will take the post down if somebody reports it too, right? Even in an unmoderated. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very fluent in the affiliate space, which is like just transactional keywords where everybody's just searching for products. And there are so many posts across big money transactional terms that rank, and no one's doing anything about it.
Have you reported them though? Like, have you tried?
I mean, I've caused a lot of PR noise. I've gotten Reddit moderators banned and stuff. So I haven't gone through the official channels. I like to cause like a PR kerfuffle, and I tend to get more results that way. But that stuff exists and it persists for a long time, at least in the stuff that there's definitely like the problem with Reddit is you get the full spectrum, right? There are absolute communities where both the community and the moderators are on top of it. They are doing what needs to be done, and it is as clean as you could expect it to be. You also have the other end of the spectrum where the mods have been full on corrupted. There's this whole shadow market going on right now where people are trying to like pay off Reddit mods and get control of different communities and buy and trade different communities so that they get access to all the Google rankings and all the LLM training data. That is absolutely happening. So, and again, most of it's probably somewhere in the middle, right? These are the extremes, but you got to be like really careful when you're just like pulling up a Google post or a Reddit post via Google, especially with high money stuff. I see more spam and more manipulation than not these days. And from what I see. So
I do think there's a way to do it right. I think of, I think you're onto something. Controlling a subreddit is part of it. I think the more you have control, or the person that has control, the less risky it is. But I don't think you want to be overly promotional. The one time where I found you can be promotional, you can get a link, you can do whatever you want, is AMAs. So we've had really great success with those. Like running AMAs can be a great way to get a link from Reddit. And then also like they rank really well on Google too. To get so many comments.
Yeah. The other thing, the way I look at marketing on Reddit is like, Reddit is so anti-marketing, and I understand that ethos, and I kind of agree with it. It's part of why it's as popular as it is. And it's a core part of the Reddit journey. But because of that, one of the weird follow-on consequences is it's pushed marketers into two extremes. Like, you can't play the middle on Reddit. Like, you can't go into a subreddit and say, hey, we did this like really cool PDF, you want to like look at it and maybe download and fill a lead form. Like, you're going to get if you come in and say, hey, I'm a marketer and I'm doing anything that sniffs of marketing, and you're transparent about it, you are going to get booted so fast. Right. Yep. And in many cases, I think that is a good thing. But the second order consequences of that is it forces any business that is spending time on Reddit into the two extremes. You either have to play ultra white hat and be like, hey, I'm just here to help, my handle, you can tell who I am, but I am just investing in just the community and helping people. And if you do that for like year after year after year, like, you will build a brand and a reputation, and that will help you go somewhere. Or you go to the exact opposite end of the spectrum and you play ultra black hat. So shadow accounts, alt accounts, upvote rings, everyone's trying to catch you. Feels like link building and like the fucking aughts, right? Like, everyone's doing it, but like, who can keep doing it the longest without getting caught? And you're playing the Reddit mods, and maybe you try to like get an in with the mods, and so it's a whole thing. You kind of have to do one or the other. You can't do the middle.
I think you can do the middle. I don't know, like, it's not the middle, but like, I'd say probably closer to the white hat side, the long-term thing. I think if you're doing it enough, you can get away with a link or two here and there.
Occasionally.
Occasionally, maybe in an AMA, or also if you control the subreddit and you are the mod, or the mod. I've seen a lot of big brands starting their own subreddits. I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
That I would recommend. That's sort of like the go-to move for any business, is go grab your branded subreddit is now just as important as your domain. Which is kind of insane. But if you don't have that, you should go get it, or start getting creative on how to get it. Right. So, and that you can be transparent about. You can do product marketing in there. You can do announcements. You can get news, because if you control the subreddit, and hopefully it's not taken, or there's a way to get control. But that's more of that like middle ground. In which case, then like, how do you build that audience? How do you build that community?
Yeah, we got some questions here, so I want to make sure I get these in. What do you think about Forbes Marketplace now? I'm still cautious because it's marked as ad sponsored or whatever the affiliate tag is, but I still see these pages ranking.
Last I heard, the team was spending a lot more time on content quality. So supposedly it's good, but I haven't looked at it in like a ton of detail. My personal opinion, I'm way less angry at Forbes than I used to be. Yeah. I mean, I might check out their posts on CBD gummies as a starting point, but I'm also going to go look at a bunch of other stuff too. Okay.
Awesome. Well, it's good to know they're headed in the right direction. So new updates on local SEO. So we actually have a ton of those to share. We're not doing it on this webinar though. It's happening on our next month webinar. When I say local SEO, I'm talking like local pack stuff, is what I assume this person's asking. If you want to put up the registration for the next webinar, I'm sitting down with Darren Shaw and Luke, who are definitely deep in the local SEO space. And we have some data to share that is kind of mind-blowing. Shared it with my team yesterday, and everyone was just like, holy crap. Some really, really big changes in the local pack space that I don't think anybody's talking about yet. So I will be going over that in a couple weeks in this webinar here. So make sure you register for that. This is more of a generic question. What about small businesses with small budgets? So think your plumber, your realtor who's just starting out, maybe sold 3 houses. Not every agency is working with these huge budget clients. So imagine you're an agency and you have a real estate client who just started, or a plumber that just started, or I don't know, insert anything there. What would your advice be?
Oof. So I don't do a ton of local, right? I do more like nationwide big stuff. I always have. It's not to say local isn't important. That's a whole game, and there's a ton of respect for people like Joy. I think you're way better at answering that than me. Like, so well, yeah, you go first, and then I do have one answer for smaller.
My answer is probably not what this person wants to hear, though. But like, so small businesses starting out, ads, like that would be my go-to. I would do local service ads, regular ads. There's a lot of map features, which again, I'm going to be talking a lot more about in our next webinar, that are really, really good and have like a good ROI for small businesses. That would be what I would start with. I think, should you have a good Google business profile? Yes. Should you have a website? Should you have a content strategy? Absolutely. But I agree with everything you've been saying. Like, you are not going to make a giant dent or see a lot of traffic at all for a while. And we have clients in this camp who have been, going at it for like a year. And if you don't start with a foundation and a base, like, you're coming in and you don't rank anywhere, and it's really hard. And I think the timeline is longer than it used to be.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's wildly more competitive than it used to be, which is the data that I'm going to be sharing next month. It's just like, it's crazy. It's like everything that's happening in the affiliate world, it's also happening in the local world, just a little different, but it's the same exact pattern, which is like less traffic, harder to get into, harder for people that are starting out. So my go-to is like, do ads first, and then, build a brand that way, get some customers that way. And then once you've got that authority, then you'll have an easier time with SEO.
Yeah. I'll give 2 other things, 2 other kind of my typical things that I go to. One is like, been talking a lot about SEO and kind of how Google has changed, but it's not just Google. It's also the move to AI, which is also like completely changed the landscape and how search behavior is changing and all this stuff. So most of the work that I do right now with clients is like, how we need to make sure that everything we're going to do is going to survive this Google AI transition, wherever that ends up. And I can talk about it at length, but if I was a small business, even just any local business, any kind, the cheat code, or the thing, it's not a cheat code, it's still a ton of work, but the one thing that I believe will continue to be relevant 10 years from now, and it's still relevant today, is that like founder-led marketing. So building out that personal brand of yours, not just doing content on behalf of your brand, like that stuff's getting watered down so fast. That's always been a struggle, but it's getting like so much worse. So whatever accounts you're starting, or whatever organic stuff or audience building stuff you want to do in the future, maybe you want to you're going to build out like a Reddit community, or you're going to start a Discord or whatever, like go into that, whatever profiles, whatever accounts you set up, do it with your own personal brand, be a human and show up with your actual content. That is the go-to move. The only thing that survives this AI era is like just one-to-one people connections, right? So that's how I'm doing all of my stuff. It's my website, larslofgren.com. It's my personal brand, my newsletter. It's just me. LinkedIn, it's me, right? 100%. And if I was even if I was doing something like SaaS, VC backed startup, go to the moon type of thing, I'd be putting all of my time in my personal accounts. That's how I would be leading it, because that's going to cut through, and it's also going to survive. So whatever you build there, even as the algorithms change and platforms change, that stuff will survive. The other thing I'd say is, again, local is probably more limited on this, but even for like, I work with a lot of SaaS startups, or even like agencies and stuff like that. And there's usually like some beginner, like basic stuff to do with SEO, but it's very limited. It's like a one-time project with like really basic quarterly maintenance. So you don't want to get into like a giant content budget and team, and we're always posting every month, and we're going to do this forever type of thing. It's more of like, what is the bottom of funnel stuff And hopefully it's not too competitive, but what is the bottom funnel stuff that's directly related to people like in your, that are really down, like deep into the purchase decision funnel, right? Like if someone's, I'll pick some easy examples from my world, but if someone's deciding like, oh, I need to buy a project management tool, should I use like Asana or Trello? Well, why, if I was working in a Trello, I would make sure I had a Trello versus Asana post somewhere on the site. And I'd be transparent about it. I'm like, look, we're Trello, we're biased, but we're going to spend the next 3,000 words making our strongest case about why we're better than Asana. And even for small businesses, like who is your primary competitor? Chances are you're like, even if only 5 people search for that in a given month, well, those 5 people, they're really important people for your business. They're about to make a decision and they're looking for information on, hey, this competitor versus that competitor, which one is better? Why? Go make the case, right? You can do that on your site. And so there's probably like a basic set of content, some a mix of landing pages, a few blog posts, maybe 20, 30 posts or pages like total, just to round out that bottom of the funnel stuff. All the LLMs, they're going to reference it. When anybody's doing research, they're going to pull up your post and it's going to end up in the answers. When people are Googling around, they're going to stumble into your stuff. Again, be transparent about it. Say, hey, we're biased, but here's what we believe. Take it or leave it. And so that stuff can still make a difference. And most of that, like really bottom of the funnel stuff, most of it's not that competitive, especially in like niches and local markets. And like, cause why most people wouldn't go and there's very little traffic, and most other businesses, the traffic's so low that they would never be incentivized to produce that content. But those 5 visitors a month, those are real prospects in your market. They're about to make a purchase decision. Helping them make that purchasing decision in like putting your best foot forward, that really matters to the business, especially over like a year, right? So there's usually like a subset of stuff to do, but again, it's not a giant content pipeline. It's mapping that stuff out. It's doing a one-time push, getting it up, updating it once a quarter. It's very light, just, polish things up, improve it a little bit. And then like, that's it. Like go spend all your time on other stuff.
Okay. So you're starting a lawn care business. It's Lars Lawn Care, and you're up against like True Green. Okay. Let's say it's easier to pick on the bigger companies. So if you were doing like what makes Lars better than True Green Lawn Care, I can tell you right now, I love the idea. Pitching this to business owners is going to be tough because
I know.
they don't want waves, right? They're like, I don't want to piss off my competitors and be like,
I will. I don't mind.
I think it's easier for bigger brands for sure. Like Asana versus Trello, agreed. Like so much easier for a brand.
They have the most hesitancy, right? The big site enterprise companies, they hate doing stuff like this. They're so nervous about it. With small stuff, like no one's going to see it. If it doesn't work, no one sees it, right? You got nothing to lose. You can.
Well, your competitor will see it. I assume True Green's probably going to see it, and maybe they're going to be mad at you, whatever. Like, have you seen any smaller businesses try that approach and it's worked and it hasn't like backfired on them? Yeah.
Okay. I've absolutely bought products because I stumbled into their content, right? Actually, the most likely scenario, even if you're going up against like big players like True Greens or whoever else, the most likely scenario is like these little cracks in Google. They're so small, and especially cracks like this, when it's like competitor versus competitor. Well, there's really only like 2 people that care about that individual term, right? There's not this like giant, there's not all these players in the space. So if your competitor is just asleep at the wheel, which often they are with SEO, most companies, they're not paying attention to SEO at all. This is why like affiliate businesses and Forbes and everyone else exists, is because it's really hard for most companies to stay on top of this stuff all the time. So if you go in, like the most likely scenario is you start checking this stuff and it's just no one's done anything, or your big competitor did something like 5 years ago and they haven't been updating it. So then you come in with something fresh that's updated and accurate, and suddenly you pop to the top. Like that is the most likely outcome when I do this stuff for clients. Even on, the small side for me, it's usually just like an open field, and you build it, you keep it updated, and it's game on.
So I have another question about your founder-led thing. So I can tell you, like, obviously a huge believer in that. I literally do it for my agency all the time. I'm doing it right now. But the only caveat to that I could see is, how does it work when you are a business that's planning on selling? Because a lot of businesses, they
Yeah.
start a company and then they plan on selling it later down the road. So does having a founder-led strategy where everything's tied to the founder really screw you when you go to sell?
Yeah, that is an absolute excellent point. And you have to be, I think there's a way to do it, but you got to be careful. One, you can't go all in like I am. So whatever you call my current business, I just do consulting for a couple clients at a time. I don't have an agency. It's all under just my own personal name. Can I sell anything I'm doing? No, I can't. That's not happening. And I was like, you know what? I'm fine with that. Like, I think the exits get overhyped, whatever. I'm not worried about that. So you can't do it the exact same way I'm doing it. But what you can do is you still have a company that has a brand. You
Yeah.
work there. You are the CEO and founder of whatever brand you're building. So, and you're using your personal social accounts to build the larger brand. Right. So you're kind of building two brands at the same time. You're building your own personal brand, but it's all about that larger thing that you're building. And luckily, most acquirers underappreciate like top of funnel marketing, which most founder led marketing is like top of funnel. It's building the brand, building an audience. That, while I deeply believe that impacts revenue in just crazy ways over the long term, it is almost impossible to like actually come up with an attribution report that proves that. Like, you just have to do it on faith. And so whatever due diligence the acquirer is doing, they're probably going to severely underappreciate whatever your personal social accounts are. And that's fine. As long as the rest of the business is really nice and healthy, you keep your social accounts, the website gets built up, whatever. If you start a YouTube channel, do you do it under your brand? Maybe. But I mean, I think that's probably the smarter move. But you're still showing up as a person. You're the main character in your company branded YouTube channel, right? It's person first. You're there showing up every day, in which case you give them a nice package. Your newsletter still coming from your company name. So there are marketing assets that are going with the company. Obviously, the whole revenue and engine and cost structure and team, they all go through the exit. And then you keep your personal accounts on your top of funnel stuff that you're doing. And that, I would be surprised if that hurts most businesses, unless there's probably extremes like Alex, what is his name, Humanzi, or it's the guy that's selling all the books and just he's everywhere right now.
I'm not buying them. I don't know who it is.
yeah. There's these people. I mean, I've worked for people similar to this, so I'm not throwing shade, but like their personal brand gets really attached. So if you push the personal brand to like such an extreme that any idiot can see they are the entire marketing funnel, then yeah, you'll have some problems. But if you're hitting that limit, you probably are making so much money that it doesn't matter anymore. So it's okay. Right.
I can tell you with experience from somebody who has purchased brands that were founded by other people who were pretty big names, like Local U. Like literally, Local U is a brand that I bought off of Mike Blumenthal, and he's not really involved with it anymore. And that transition was pretty smooth. There is usually a hiccup when you make that transition, a small one. But as long as the new brand is like, or the new founder, whatever person taking it over is authoritative as well, then it's pretty seamless. But I have clients in this space who are doing that. One that comes to mind, like Tommy Mello, who's the founder owner of A1 Garage Doors. He is so likable as a person, very like, out there talking at conferences, like you'll see his face all over the place, but also his brand is super, super strong as well. So he has both. I think you can do both. I have a question here from Michael, and I want to clarify. He said 10K, not $10. So let's say you have a $10,000 a month budget for a roofer and you want to make their phone ring. What's your playbook? And I realize you don't work with roofers.
Yeah. Well, most of this is outside my wheelhouse, but I would go what Joy recommended and do the ads. Actually, if you want to pay off on like any marketing channel within 6 months, you're either doing something really sketchy or you're doing paid.
That's fair. Okay. So if you took that 10K and you did invest it in SEO or social media, are there certain social channels, like you said, it was all just based on what the person wants to do? And then like, when would you say the timeline for that payoff comes? You said years?
Yeah. Years 2 to 3 is when most organic channels start to get interesting.
Yeah, I
So
can tell you that's true for YouTube.
yeah, it is. And it's true.
100%.
It's even true for big brands. This is why this has been like the bane of my career of like keeping CEOs bought in. I got so frustrated keeping CEOs and leadership teams bought in that I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to go start my own SEO company. And we did. We did really well. Well, until we didn't, but that's another story. Cause yeah, so this is the typical journey for any, like, and this is not just SEO, but any organic, like a serious organic push, right? Like you get the budgets, you get the approvals, you get everybody bought in, everyone's excited, and they stay excited for year one. All right. And then year one, nothing happens. Right. So year one, by the end of year one, things are getting a little choppy. At least internally, everyone's starting to question. Now, if you are a little charismatic, if you really push for it, if you go to the mats and like really keep, force the thing, you can usually force the continuation into year two, right? But by the end of year two, and maybe there's like a small shred of progress, but it's definitely not ROI positive at this point. By the end of year two, the CEO is looking at you and being like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? This is never going to work. And at the end of year two, it gets canceled. But if you somehow make it to the end of year three, that's when the proof points start showing up.
Yep.
And then years like 5 and beyond, it's a gravy train. It's insane. So usually like everybody bails on year two when they're like 1 year short of like getting the proof points. This has happened over and over and over in my career. And when I somehow managed to push through to year three, yeah, then everybody's like, oh, this is amazing. Why don't we spend more money on this? I'm like, that's what I've been fucking saying. So like, that's very, very normal.
So I think what we're doing here, what I'm telling clients to do is like have all of it, have SEO, social, ads, because the payoffs, the timelines are different, like you said. So ads will pay off almost immediately. So you've got something keeping your phone ringing. Social, I think, is the longest. And so
anything top of funnel.
Yeah.
And
Like
most content is
tried.
top of funnel now. All content is essentially social in a way. It's weird. So.
Yeah. Well, and I've been telling people, like, I asked a lot of agency owners, like, do you have a social product? What does it look like? And like, people don't. And we tried a social product like years and years ago. People won't stick around with it and won't see it through. So I do not think that social should be actually like packaged on its own. You got to package it with something else for the people that can't wait, so that they're getting something while you're building up the big thing. And then, like you said, like they'll stick
100%.
around for years. You have to package it together. Otherwise it just doesn't work.
Yeah. And I think that's why, like, anybody building like an influencer or creator brand is like their future is, there's plenty of upside, because most brands can't do it because of these dynamics. Most brands won't do it. And what I've told some people is like, you either have, like, if you really want to build like a humming top tier organic content or just organic growth engine of any kind, you're either going to have in-house influencers. It can be a CEO, it can be founders, it can be your marketing team if they're really good at that stuff. You're either going to have your own in-house influence or influencers, or you're going to have to pay other influencers. You're going to get locked out, and there's going to be this channel distribution arbitrage that all these, if someone's been cranking out short form videos for 5 years and they have your exact target market, if you want to get in front of that audience, you're going to have to pay up, or you're going to have to build your own audience, which takes forever. I appreciate it. It's not fun. I'm in the middle of it right now. I'm like, is this ever going to pay off? I have no idea. I hope so. Even though I've done this a bunch of times, like you always racked with doubt until it happens. So I get it. But those are kind of the two options on the organic side. Paid is whatever.
I'll tell you, like, again, from my own personal experience, like it does come. YouTube strategy, 2 years, 3 years in is when you'll start to see it. Reddit, like, I think we're a year and a half in. Like, I think we just got our first client from Reddit.
Yeah. Yeah, the ROI is terrible right now. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. If you had to get approval on that time and budget, the CEO would cut it. They'd be like, no.
Oh, I know. I think we got their first client from Reddit this year too. And I was like, yay. Like, it's really exciting when it happens, but like, it's so long. But again, it compounds, right? So the longer you stick with it, if you stick with it, it's the people just can't, they're like attention spans, right? It's like,
Yep.
It's a struggle. I feel you. Here's another question. So how would you know when a smaller, medium-sized business has a brand authority problem? So we're talking about like these businesses that like really shouldn't be investing in SEO. Like, how do you know that?
like what respect like a brand like every like most small businesses, there's just like a lack of brand. Yeah, right. There isn't
So how do
necessarily
you
like
tell
that.
that? Like, how do you know if a brand is ready to invest in SEO? Like they've got enough authority? What metrics do you look at?
The easy one is just any keyword research tool. Go check
Mhm.
your brand name and are
Sure.
people looking for it at all? Right.
Mhm.
Like if you get hundreds of people searching for your brand a month, that's a great sign, especially for something local or on just a smaller type of business. Um, And if you get like, if your brand is so small that all your keyword research tools basically say like, we're not sure anybody searches for this ever, then maybe go focus on some of those other communities and your paid ads, and you're going to have to do other stuff. I mean, you can still do like some basic things on SEO, maybe a couple of those versus pages. But I would not overinvest in that stuff. I would say, how am I going, like, who's my target market? And then who has an audience already that overlaps with that target market really well? And then how do I get in front of that audience? Some cases paid is going to be a legitimate and straightforward way to do that. In other cases, there are ways to do it organically. Like I'm in front of Joy's audience right now, right? I just showed up, right?
There
Here
you
I am,
go.
right? So there are ways you can do events. There's plenty of, some are like more guerrilla marketing, some are just like showing up authentically and being a speaker or being involved or doing some sort of partnership with people. Like there's always creative ways to do this stuff. And I would go focus on that before like investing a ton of time and just like endless amounts of SEO.
So we have another really good question here from Carrie. We've been talking about the platforms that are clearly, working well, like Reddit, whatever. Are there any up and coming ones that you think maybe don't matter right now, but might like 2 years from now?
The big up and coming, which I think this is another alternative. I don't talk about it that much because I'm really bad at it, although I do appreciate it, which is community. A
Oh,
lot of like building up genuine communities. I mean, this has been around for a while. There's Facebook groups, Slack groups. This kind of comes and goes. But it's because it's kind of like on the upswing again. And the specific channels are like building a genuine, not just like a branded subreddit where you just like shovel your nonsense into Reddit, but actually building an active, vibrant community in your subreddit on Reddit, your branded subreddit. That's like a different approach than just like, we're going to treat Reddit as like a newsletter, right? No,
yeah.
like we want to build a community. We want to bring our current customers over here. Our employees are going to interact. We're going to be really authentic and transparent and kind of build this thing. That's a great option. A lot of folks, Discord is the other big one right now coming out of the gaming community. I play a lot of video games, so I'm known about Discord for a while, but Discord is like breaking out of gaming and kind of going into everything else. It's basically like Slack. It's the cool Slack now. I think like beyond, so this is all different versions of community, but the way that like a lot of like our informational feeds are changing, what I've seen, and I sort of designed my content to like work around this or take advantage of this, is a lot of our informational feeds that I've started to notice, like the cutting edge, the people that are already overwhelmed with all these channels, a lot of our feeds are moving into these private groups. So not just like a Discord or a Reddit, but a locked private group of some kind. It might be Discord. It might be a private Reddit community. It might be a paid Slack community, but there's some sort of barrier. It's private. You can't get in. And there's usually some sort of vetting process. Like there's a bunch of these in the marketing space. Our marketers tend to be like ahead of the curve as to like where they get their own information because they just like live in this shit all day long. And all the marketers are like fleeing from the public channels. Like they're not paying attention to Twitter or X or whatever anymore. They're not paying attention. Like LinkedIn's like so saturated and everybody complains about it. So they're fleeing into these like paid groups. Like you have to pay to get in. And there's also like entrepreneurs are doing this too, like founders, like tech founders. They're usually way ahead of the curve. Like I'm in one right now that has like a crazy annual price point. But everyone, like you can't even just show up to the community that I'm in. You have to go through an interview process. You get vetted, right? And if the people running the community think that like I'm too pushy, that I'm a dick, I'm an asshole, or I got an ulterior agenda, I like 86th right out of the gate. They won't take my money no matter how much I'm willing to pay, right? So there's this There's this entrepreneur like founder group I'm a part of. Everyone's been interviewed. Everyone's been given the thumbs up. Everyone's paid like a decent chunk of coin to get in. So there's a lot of commitment. And then we like, if I'm looking for something or I have a problem, I just drop in and say, hey, what does everybody recommend around XYZ? And boom, I get like 5 amazing answers. And I know they're real people. And even though I don't know who they are, like I know they've been vetted and I know the information quality is like really high. These communities are, they're spreading. They're all over the place. It's the private WhatsApp groups, right? There's all sorts of versions of this. So like when I think of content, like usually I don't even design content for SEO or even social anymore. I'm like, how can I write content that spreads within these communities through word of mouth? Like that's so good, so amazing that someone that has access to a community or a private WhatsApp group that I don't have access, I don't even know it exists. They go to their community and say, yo, this dude wrote this insane thing. You all should read it. And because it's a private group and it's a word of mouth reference, boom, it just pops off, right? That whole community is now paying attention to, but I could never pay any amount of money to get access to that community directly. Unless I'm already a member of the community, I guess, but you can only do so many of those. So that like these like private, everyone's kind of moving their attention spans into like a private direction. So if I'm thinking like viral content, engaging content, the question I now ask is like, is this stuff going to spread through all these little communities? And if not, then maybe I should go back to the drawing board and make the content better. So
yeah, it's a good way to look at it. We got a bunch more questions here, so I'm just going to roll through some of these. I'll take this one. Don't local service ads cost a lot of money? Yes and no. It depends on the market. You pay per lead, so it can really vary. It's definitely changed a lot in the last year. So if you haven't looked at it recently, it may be different than the last time. I knew this question was going to come up. Let's talk about ranking in AI. Is this something that you are tracking? Like, have you found that the LLMs are looking for anything different than your like traditional old like SEO signals, or how are you handling this topic?
That is the big argument in SEO at the moment. Everyone's fighting over it's like I'm kind of sick of it. But I don't know, there's probably I saw a post on LinkedIn this morning and that was like calling people out that say this, and now I'm just going to say it. My personal stance is that the bulk of LLM optimization is currently still SEO. There is an enormous amount of overlap. So whenever I have a client and we're like, hey, how do I actually influence like LLM responses? My first step is, well, do we have the rankings to be in the running? Now, look, a lot of the tactics have changed. Like if I'm just focused on the 10 blue links, there's things I can do and focus on that are not going to be relevant in an LLM response.
Give me an example.
Like link building doesn't matter like it used to, right?
Okay.
Like this is actually a good thing. So in the affiliate, when I built my affiliate business, that was during an era where link building was the loophole on Google. Any competitive category in Google, if someone was winning, is because they were doing a shitload of link building. And everyone was doing it. It was nuts. In fact, we built an entire link building department. I managed that department for a while. So I did a lot of favors and I would, beg, barter, steal, whatever I had to do in order to get de-links, do follows in the right context to the right pages. I did all that stuff. These days I don't do any of that actually. And if I was trying to optimize for LLM responses, it just doesn't matter. And specifically, like if I'm doing like top of funnel mentions and I'm trying to build the brand across like the ecosystem, like if I can just get mentioned, if I can just get like my entity, my brand name mentioned. So in my case, it's just like my personal name, but whatever brand I'm trying to build. If I can just get that mentioned, boom, I've won. Like, or at least that's going to help. If you want to get like more tactical, like LLMs are all like, it's just like entity associations at the end of the day, whether it's like information like nouns or topics or brands or, whatever the specific things are. LLMs are just trying to like, how often is this thing connected to this other thing, right? That's fundamentally how LLMs work. And if you're trying to get we're all business owners or marketers. And the thing that we usually want to happen is when people are asking questions about our product category, it might be with, a local constraint or, whatever it ends up being, or a specific niche. When people are asking questions about that product category, which is its own entity, is our brand highly associated with that entity? right?
Hmm.
So like if I was building a brand right now and I was on this podcast, I'd pay very close attention to like my brand name, Lars Lofgren, and then what is that thing? What is that entity? What am I building? Am I, marketing consultant? Am I an SEO consultant? Am I a GEO consultant? Whatever. Like if I cared about LLM optimization, I would have already figured out what is the category I want my name associated with, and I'd be hammering that over and over and over again. I wouldn't care about the links. I can do this on podcasts. I can do it on YouTube. I can do it on social. I can do it as a speaker at events. But anytime there's anything talking about me, I'd be like, okay, is this brand being associated with the product category that I really want to dominate and the specific niche? Now, I don't really care because I'm not trying to optimize for LLMs. So my answer of what I do is usually changes every time I fucking say it, which is not great for LLMs. But if you're lawn care in Denver, Colorado, like you want to make sure that lawn care, your brand, and Denver, Colorado are all being used in the same sentence over and over and over again. The old world, you'd care that your brand or lawn care was linked to your website. Now it doesn't matter, right? You just need all those things associated with each other over and over and over and over again. And either building an audience that helps you kind of get that stuff out into the ether, or tactically doing it yourself as the founder and various interviews, or all the different PR options that are in front of you. So that's one example of how things are changed, but still fundamentally it's like building websites, building brands. It's a lot of stuff's the same. So
The thing we see Google's AI quoting the most, especially for like AI powered local packs and things like that, is your website. So you have an enormous amount of control over that, which is great.
Yeah.
Like website is like the top citation the majority of the time.
Yep.
And the one thing that I've noticed, there's actually two things that I've seen so far that LLMs seem to care a bit more about than like maybe traditional SEO. One is awards, which is kind of funny because like
that is funny. Okay.
my field of play, I don't know how it is in yours, but like it's all like pay to play. Like most of these awards, they like paid for, or
yeah, it's a whole game.
Enter, but like there's so many of them. There's like tons of directories and sites and things that offer awards, and if you win them, it seems to be helping a lot. We're seeing like the Google especially is like quoting them like crazy. Oh, this person's this award winning, yada, yada. And they usually pull it from your website. And then press releases is the other thing that if you would ask me 5 years ago, I'd be like, what a stupid tactic, doesn't work, blah, blah. But all the stuff you're mentioning, one great way to do that is to send out press releases that get you all of those like entity associations. And I was shocked that they actually work.
That's
like
funny.
I don't know if you've tried press releases, but
I haven't,
like
no.
they are working really well. And I'm just like, really? Like, we're actually doing a video on it coming out in the next couple months, because I was just like, I would have told you 5 years ago it was a stupid tactic, but it's working very well right now. So
yeah. The other one that matters a lot more now, I mean, this won't be a surprise for local folks because they've already been swimming in this stuff, but it is a surprise for like bigger, more national companies, because they typically haven't had to focus on this as much, is the reviews.
Oh,
right. Yeah. Like reviews, it is the easiest way, or maybe not easiest. It is one of the really easy ways to start manipulating like any of the LLMs at all. Especially like a lot of my clients are SaaS companies, right? These are tech companies, and there's all these SaaS review sites, Trustpilot, TrustRadius, G2, they're just endless. And a whole lot of those things are pay to play, and you can buy those reviews. It's really easy to game. No one ever gives you shit about it either. And if you just spike your reviews up, you keep the star ratings really high, even if you're just flat out buying reviews, you will start showing up in all the LLMs really fast, even if you do not have a brand at all. Like I found some like fake brands that were doing this to dominate the like Windows key license space in Google. They're building fake brands through, I think, TrustRadius or Trustpilot, one of them. I always mix them up. And they got the reviews super high. It's all manipulated. And that stuff just,
so like the reviews are fake. Like the reviews are real.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Great. Lovely. I want to clarify, because there's a question here, and I think I want to make sure everyone's clearly understanding this. When I said like nothing year one, to be clear, we're talking about brands that like don't rank anywhere or are already close to being at the top. Like, to give you an example, we had a dentist that we took on about a year ago, and there's like 120 people already in the market ranking, like doing really well, and they were like nowhere. And so like a year later, they're like, I don't know, if I was to stack all the competitors like in the 20s. So they're getting close, but like it is hard to climb to the top. If you do an audit on a business that's like, you know, 6th place or 7th place, and you're just trying to get them into like the top 2 or 3, certainly that can be done in way less than a year. And I see it all the time. And I just want to clarify. I don't know if you were.
Yeah, I agree with
saying-
that. Context dependent. Like, yeah, I can
Yeah.
get post to rank inside of a few months if the site's halfway decent and the competitiveness
Sure.
is 0. Right. So
Yeah.
there's plenty of situations where stuff moves a lot faster. It's more like starting from 0 or we're going after something that's somewhat competitive, right? It can take a while.
Okay. This was a question I was thinking and didn't ask, but like, what about getting sued for listing competitor names on your site? I had this happen when a client offered an alternative product to a larger competitor.
Yeah. So I've never had this happen. And I have talked about competitors a lot. It sucks that it had to happen to you. There are salty, grumpy people out there that if you talk about them in any respect, they'll come after you. And this is a fact of life. But so there is something I do make sure to do, which is whenever we're doing content about competitors, I always tell my teams, or if I'm doing it myself or whatever the situation is, I always tell everybody, hey, we have to be fair. Okay. Make sure we get our facts accurate. We are not here to shit talk. I like shit talking, but we're not going to do it here. We're going to be extremely fair. And we're definitely going to get our facts right. And we're not going to make accusations about anything. And even if we stumble into something that's like really dodgy, like unless it's completely over the top, we're probably just like not going to mention it, right? We're just going like there's a sketch, I think something that has happened before is we were talking about, it wasn't a direct competitor, but we were doing these like post reviews and we were digging into some of these software review sites and there were some very negative reviews about a particular thing, a particular SaaS company was doing. And we were, again, they weren't a competitor, but we were doing reviews on this stuff and we published it. And they got pretty salty about it and reached out to us directly. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, I don't know, like there seems to be a trend in the reviews, but are these, sometimes you can have salty competitors. Sometimes you can have salty clients or salty customers and the reviews look like trash, even though, the business did nothing wrong. That does happen. So you always have to be like careful, right? You gotta like, if there's something really nasty and negative, unless it's like there's an abundant evidence or something like complete, like some news article we could reference from some like very respected company. Like, let's be careful. Let's try to play really fair. We don't have to help them, but let's also not like shank them either. Right. Let's just stick to the facts. Let's say, hey, they're really good at XYZ and maybe like contort that slightly. So it's a market that we don't really care about that much. And then we're going to hype ourselves for, the market that we really do care about and make a really strong case for that. And I've never had a problem doing stuff like that.
All right. We have a kind of technical SEO question. What application do you recommend to use to check the health of a website? So things like 404s, broken links. Is there anything better than SEMrush?
Well, I use Ahrefs. I'm a big fan. Used it
Same.
a long, long time. Still pay for it. I personally like it more than SEMrush, but they're both equivalent. If you want something cheaper, a lot of people use Ubersuggest, which Neil Patel built. I think it's free or close to free. So if you're really trying to save every dollar, I would probably go there.
Okay. Now, we've talked a lot about like content. Now, since that's like your background, if a business wants to continue putting out content on their website, as much as it's harder now, what would you do to try and find topics? Like, what's your kind of go-to list for that?
Yeah. So I always start with keyword research. So I use these SEO tools and go and work backwards from there. That's how I map the bottom of the funnel. So the way we moved away from like strict keyword research, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And so I think in topics these days, which topics are essentially just these entities, like we talked about with LLMs. So you can't just look at keywords. It's like what within Google and all these like keyword options within this giant keyword list, what's truly a unique entity that's going to get a unique set of either rankings within Google, or when people are asking about that thing in an LLM, it's still going to want to pull up stuff dedicated to that topic. Right. So always start with all the, like the keyword, like, puke that comes at you whenever you're looking at like something. And then we start like, what's a synonym? What's essentially the same thing? What are all the actual unique topics or unique entities? And then that's how I build my cluster when I'm doing anything SEO related. For most businesses, Going forward, again, I'd start with the bottom of the funnel, because even if all the traffic in Google goes away, well, what are the LLMs going to reference? They're going to reference that same content, all the versus content, review content, best X, best lawn care in Denver content, right? Even though they're dumb listicles, and I mean, put real effort into it. But I mean, they get a certain amount of hate, but hey, I've spent a lot of time in the affiliate world, so I think it's fine. So do all that stuff. And then if you go beyond, if you want to do more, I would be really careful about the informational side of Google. It's not to say there isn't a place for it. I do some of it for my clients in very specific situations. But with the LLMs, like ChatGPT and all this stuff, they're eating up a lot of that informational, like, user flow. Right. If you're just asking questions about a topic, or, how to's, or what is, or tips and tactics and all that stuff that used to be the bulk of Google. I spent so much of my time on that side of Google. A lot of that stuff is going away. So you want to be careful of how much you invest in that side of things. You might do a little bit of it if it's like really important to your business. How to manage your lawn in Denver, Colorado. That's probably still a good article to have on your post, but do you need and like hundreds of posts like that? Probably not. Right. So you want to draw the line like way sooner than I used to. So just be the way, like, however you're mapping your content and whatever, if you're looking for all these keyword ideas and doing all this stuff, just always the question I always ask myself is this still going to be important if 100% of people are spending all their time in just AI tools? If the 10 blue links of Google goes away entirely, am I still going to be happy that I produced this content? And if the answer is no, then maybe pause and, second guess it. The answer is yes, then cool, go do it. So I'm always thinking about both sides when I'm doing like keyword research and mapping everything. Is this stuff still going to be relevant? And if not, maybe I can just skip the keyword stuff and go do something more important.
Okay. And link building a bit. Are there any link building tactics that you still use, or do you pay attention to link building at all?
Not really. I mean, if you do the content good enough and you do your content distribution, you'll pick up links along the way. So.
Okay. Interesting. It would say that. What about when you're posting on places like LinkedIn, Reddit, etc.? When you do up those posts, and do you do this for clients or just yourself?
Mostly myself. I do a little bit. I have one client where we push some stuff through their, like, the founder's personal accounts.
Got it. And are you linking it all back to the site in those, or are you just no, it's the goal is not to get people to leave that platform. It's all the content there.
So the stuff that I do, there's usually a link, but you have to think about it like it's a small piece of a larger portfolio that's already happening on the accounts. Like, I do not manage like entire LinkedIn accounts. I know there's a lot of people out there doing that. A lot of agencies and consultants are popping up, and ghostwriting. It's very much a huge industry now. I don't do that stuff. So when I'm working with a client, that's already in place, or they're doing it themselves. So they're posting a ton of stuff, and the bulk of their content is not trying to pull people down their funnel. They're just living in the platform, trying to make people happy, building their audience, the whole thing. And then I come in and, one post out of like 20, it'll still have plenty of valuable content, and then you'll do the link in the comments type of thing. So we do have something to promote to bring people a little bit further down the funnel, into the site, into the blog. Here's a really nice piece of content we spent way too much time on. We think everybody will like it, type of thing. But again, I'm not doing that like every single day. It's like one piece of a much larger portfolio.
And what do you think AI's role in content should be? So most of the people I talk to, they're some people just use AI to write the content. Some people will use AI to summarize things they've said. Would you use AI to help organize, et cetera, any of your content, or content for businesses? Like, you're advising a business at this point.
Yeah. So, man, fucking AI. Okay. So there's a lot of nuance to this topic, despite my flippant answer I'm about to get. So on my personal stuff that I care about the most, I don't do AI at all. There's my LinkedIn, no AI. My blog post, it's all written by hand. The research, almost all of it is actually by hand. Emails that I write by hand. I do every single one of them. All of my stuff that I care about the most, I do
Wow.
100% by hand. Still do.
Okay.
And I'm not
Wow.
going to
All
change
right.
that. Yeah. So I think if you've got the content chops, maybe I do, maybe I don't. You all get to decide. I don't. But if you've got the content chops, and you really want to lean in and get the best ROI and most viralness, impact people the most, I'd say, yeah, just don't do AI at all, or use it very little, very, very, very limited. I don't even use it for outlines, right? Like, because I don't want to get stuck in like an AI rut, right? Or like AI is going to want to go into like a standard direction. Fuck that direction. I want to I want to end up somewhere no one would expect, that I wouldn't even expect. While I'm like, any good writer will say this, like you get halfway through the piece and you're like, wait, I'm going the wrong direction. And then you like throw it out and you start over. Like that happens a lot. AI just sort of forces you into direction number one, and it's easy to kind of, again, get in that rut. So I don't do that. Now there are situations for clients where I will use AI a little bit. I think a lot of like B2B branded content, you have like a little bit more flexibility, because it's just like B2B content. It's like one place where I have zero problems recommending AI, especially on like content teams that work in companies. What I typically recommend to folks is it's almost like the reverse of how a lot of teams are doing it. A lot of teams, the standard advice is like, use AI for some of the brainstorming and outlining, and then do all the last stuff by hand. I flip that. I do it the opposite. Like, again, because you still want to start with really high quality content. So with one of my clients, I have a few writers, and they're freelancers, but their whole shtick is like one amazing post every month, and they're being paid accordingly. So they are spending a massive amount of time doing something, research, creating something, like it's not this 2-day blog post. They're spending weeks trying to like learn something or run an experiment or something. And then the post is just like the output at the end. All that's done by hand. The post is done by hand. The editing that I do on that post is all by hand. And I think they're really high quality posts. We are discovering things, we're learning things, and we're reporting out what we're learning. And this is all real stuff. So all that's done by hand. But now I have this like really amazing artifact, right, that we have produced. And it's done by humans. It's high quality. We know it's good. And what I'll do then is, if you got to promote all this stuff. You can't just publish it, because then Google doesn't give a shit and it'll never show up anywhere. But you got to promote it somewhere. So you need emails promoting it. You need your social accounts promoting it. You need this distribution plan behind like high quality content. And if I've got to promote this thing on like 3 different email lists, I might write one email by hand, because it's fast and I know the post, and I think I'm halfway decent at it. It doesn't take me that long. But then I'll have an AI tool do email number 2. And maybe I'll do the prompt differently and try to force like a completely different version for email number 3. Right. So it's taken what I've learned about AI and content is like content. AI can be really good at content if you give it something really good to begin with. Right. And in my case, we're doing these kind of rounds of research, and we're doing these posts. I've talked to other people that will build tools, or they'll like, some freemium tool, or they'll do some other experiment, or they're building something of some kind, and they already have an artifact. They've done all the hard work. It is unique. It is interesting. It is cool. And you can give that to an AI tool. The context is now very limited. The AI tool isn't going to go wander into some fucking weird area. Like, they just have to look at one specific thing. And then you're like, hey, turn this thing into an email. Here are 3 bullets on like what I want from that email. And the output's like pretty good, right? It's way better than, like, I've managed a lot of marketers over the years. It is just as good, if not better, than a lot of marketers. Now, if you try to like create that initial artifact from scratch and you have AI do it, it's trash, right? It's no good. But if you give it something that is really high quality, and you're just using AI to like extend it or modify it or repurpose it with certain parameters, it is decent. It's pretty solid. So that would be my recommendation. That's kind of how I'm always thinking about it, is how do I make sure we're still creating something really high quality, and then use AI to extend it throughout our marketing funnel, instead of having AI create that initial kernel. Like, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? How do I give it gold? It can multiply gold, but it cannot create gold from scratch. Or at least that's how I'm doing it. It works for me. I know teams that are kind of taking the opposite approach and going all in on AI content workflows and just crazy volume. And then the humans are just there to keep the fucking wheels on the bus from falling off, so that is an approach. So my approach is not the only approach. There are other ways to do this that I've seen and are very successful. But I don't want to do that stuff. So I'm not.
It's a really interesting take. So we actually compile a list of all these tips from all the various different people that I have come on these. So if you haven't had time to attend every single one of these we do on our YouTube channel every month, we actually consolidate all the tips, like the one that Lars just gave there, into a PDF. So you can download that if you've missed a lot of the other ones that we have. Every time we have a new person come on, they always have something unique that we add on there. I also wanted to shout out, Nick, we are doing an event in January that we just confirmed the lineup for. So if you want to attend that, Local U Global is what we're calling it. But it is basically a one-day virtual conference that we were doing live. And we have speakers like Will Reynolds, Kyle Roof. The fact that it was virtual, I could actually get a speaker from Thailand, which is awesome. And Colin Nielsen, who's my colleague who's on our YouTube channel all the time, is speaking, and a bunch of others. It's $100. So pretty good value for the people that we're getting in. Should be really great. If you haven't already got a ticket for that, they are on sale now. All right. I have a few more questions here. So I'm going to try and take a couple more of these, however many we have time for. Somebody wanted to know about WhatsApp, because we haven't really mentioned that. You were talking about private closed communities. Have you seen WhatsApp work at all for any businesses?
I'm not deep on WhatsApp. I finally joined my first WhatsApp group 2 weeks ago. So I am not an expert. I just know these things exist. And it's another, for me, it's just one of those, another one of these private little groups that everything's fragmenting into now.
Yeah.
So I don't have any WhatsApp tactics. I have no idea.
They're good for hobbies, I'll say. I'm in one for pickleball. I'm in a different one for board games. So certainly they exist for those types of things and could be good for hobby related industries. I'm not sure about anything else. All right. What are two things? So this is speed round. Two things that a small business would need to know about marketing that they would never hear from Google. So we're talking stuff that Google tells you to do or Google tells you not to do.
So when Google says create human written content, they're absolutely full of shit. I think the eat stuff is nonsense. It's trash. And it sent everybody off on these fucking goose chases. I've been talking about quality content a lot, but when I think of really good quality content, especially content that I'm doing personally that I care about the most, I just ignore Google now. I'm just I don't care if my site ranks for anything. When I do one of these posts and I'm trying to really make some noise, I don't know if it's going to rank. I mean, I don't even care. I make sure that everything is in order to truly write for humans, you have to ignore Google almost. And when I've run so many content programs in the last 2 years and published hundreds, if not over 1,000 posts on different sites and different verticals. And when I think about what ranked and what did well, there's almost zero correlation to quality and rankings right now. There is in a weird, roundabout way, but then there also a lot of that content, it is not. So if you just are hey, I'm going to be an expert. I'm going to do the research. I'm going to post content. I'm going to make my SEO keywords really targeted. I'm just going to publish and it's going to rank. No, it most likely will not actually. In fact, I hate a lot of the trendy SEO stuff, but something that does have some merit in my eyes is the vector stuff, basically turning your post into math and then figuring out all the relationships in the entities. And in my opinion, when I think about, hey, is this post going to rank in Google? It's not just is the keyword in the URL and the title and all this stuff, but if we were to reduce this post to just pure math in the way that LLMs and AIs kind of look at posts, is the output of this post the exact answer, the exact mathematical answer that Google is expecting? Right. So if I want something to rank, I need to give Google the same a number at the end of the equation that it wants to see. If I deviate from that, even if the content is better, even if I'm helping users more, if I deviate too much from that answer, I'm never going to get a valid test in Google. And I see this over and over and over again across clients and websites. And now it's just I kind of water down. If I'm for SEO content, I usually water it down now. Right. Instead of trying to go beyond and do something amazing, I'm like, no, what is the Google expected answer? And how can I like dial in that answer better than anybody else? And I've got way more success doing that.
What tools do you use for the math part? Like you're talking about vector embeddings and things. Is there a tool that like measure that?
I keep trying them and I haven't found one I like yet. So, most of them are like broken or don't work. I don't know. Maybe you have a good example. Like a lot of the agencies right now are like the top tier agencies are like building their own tools.
We are. That's what I was gonna say. We don't use a tool. We're building our own. But
and that's like part of the offering. All these agencies are like keeping it in house and like, oh, if you want to use our tool, you gotta pay us whatever our monthly retainer is. Which I get. It's smart. It's genius. But like I want a tool too. And so
well, have you tried Kyle Roof's like Page Optimizer Pro he doesn't call it vector embeddings. Actually, it's kind of funny. He thinks that whole like word is kind of BS when I had him on like last month or 2 months ago. And so Page Optimizer Pro, they call it, I don't know, all the other synonyms like LSI or entities or whatever, but they have a scoring metric based on like the words you need and all that kind of stuff. So
I should go try that.
Yeah, you should try it out. I don't know. Like I've only tested it like once or twice. And like I said, we've kind of built our own, but if I was going to recommend a tool for that, that's probably my recommendation. All right. I think we have time for like 1 or 2 more questions. All right. Okay. New digital marketer here. What is one thing they need to know? Like, cause we honestly went through a lot and there's a lot that was in the weeds. So someone brand new to this field, what's your advice?
Okay, I'll give an advice that might be a little counterintuitive today. So my number one advice until the age of AI was always learn copywriting. Doesn't matter what aspect of marketing that you're in. If you spend time becoming even just a halfway decent copywriter, you don't even have to be great. Just like better than most, which is most are terrible. Most marketers are terrible at writing copy. So if you just like read some of the classics and spend some time in like direct response copy, that will pay more dividends than like any other marketing skill because it's applicable to every single channel. Right. Even like video, it's still scripts. Right. So it's just sales. It's just written sales, and marketing is essentially sales. So if you get good at that, like it's going to help you no matter where your career goes. And when all these LLMs started coming out, I was like, is that still true? And I actually think it is, because like I spent a lot of time with direct response copy, and one of the my second company I worked for was one of the best, absolute world-class copywriter, Ramit Sethi of I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He's so fucking good. He's better than I will ever be able to be type of like absolutely world-class copywriter, absolute genius at this stuff. And so I think my copy skills are decent, and I notice issues with whenever I have AI writing copy. It can do a halfway decent job given the right context, but it'll also make mistakes a lot. And if you don't have that awareness of copywriting and also like how copywriting shifts and moves over time in given industries, you're going to get stuck in just kind of like this rote form copy that it might technically be good, but it's being overused. So therefore it's not good anymore. And you're not even going to have the awareness of when you're kind of getting cornered by AI in certain copy directions and when to break out and do the mold and try something else. And if you haven't built those skills, you won't know what the something else actually is. So I still think there's an enormous amount of value out of it. You don't even have to go that hard. A couple of classic copywriting books. There's a bunch of them. Read a few.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what's your recommendation? Like if you're learning copywriting, is there a course? Is there a book? Is there somewhere you go that you would suggest?
I have a couple on my shelf. I always check. Tested advertising methods is very tactical, although now it's going to seem like really rudimentary because all the AI tools just do all that stuff endlessly. The classic that gets recommended, and I think it's hard to get your hands on. I think it's like $100 for a book, but it's absolutely recommended. And it is the classic that every hardcore copywriter always references, that always goes back to when they reread it like 5 times or like once a year to keep their copywriting really tight. The book is called Breakthrough Advertising.
All right.
Again, copies are hard to find. It's expensive, but if you get, and it's going to be dense, you're going to read it and be like, holy shit. But it is the copywriting book. It's a copywriter's copywriting book. Let me put it that way.
Okay. All right. I will check it out. I've never heard. All right, I know we're at time. I want to be really mindful of your time. So thank you so much, Lars, for spending the time talking to everybody
Happy
today.
to.
We'll be sure to try and respond to comments that come in after the event is over as well. Where can people find you if they have questions, want to reach out?
Yeah, two places. One, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So if you want to follow my stuff, go over there, do a connection request, hit me up and just say, hey, I followed you on the webinar. Yay. And I'll accept the connection request. If you want to, because every algorithm is kind of shitty and random these days. If you want to guarantee you get my best stuff, my newsletter is the best place to do that. When I have something big to talk about, I always send an email. And that you can get on the newsletter via my homepage, larslofgren.com. Very easy. Can't miss it. Those are the two places I'd recommend.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with everyone. Until next month, see you guys later.
Thank you.